You see things really good. Again, if you have camera, just don't block people's views that don't have cameras or whatever. Okay. I feel like I'm in Hollywood. Okay, so where you stick your finger in your nose here is the external nares. External nares. So I would ask, when my Q-tip's going through, you'd say external nares, and you can see it here also, right here, external nares. The area right inside is like the entrance of the church, and that's called a vestibule. So this is a vestibule here. This area right here where you can stick your finger once you stick it inside your nose. Okay, the vestibule. The nasal septum you see here is this portion right here. So this is the cartilaginous portion, the bony portion. Okay, and it keeps you from, again, putting your finger from one side of the nose into the other. And that's what gets holes in it from cocaine. Okay. Superior, middle, inferior nasal conchae, superior, middle, inferior nasal, inferior meatus. That's what these things are right here. Here's the superior conchae, middle, inferior, superior, middle, inferior, superior, middle, inferior. The holes underneath here, those are the meatuses. So this would be the inferior meatus, middle meatus, and the superior would be in there. Okay. Internal nares. That's this portion right here. It's not well defined, but it's before that hole. And so that's in the back of the nasal cavity. And what it separates the nasal cavity from the nasal pharynx. Here too. It'd be like right about here. This would be the internal nares. Separates the nasal cavity from the nasal pharynx. Okay? If you look next on the bullet points under pharynx, notice 3 bullet points: nasal pharynx, oral pharynx, and laryngopharynx. Okay, so on this model here, this area here is the nasal pharynx, this is the oral pharynx, this is the laryngopharynx. Okay. Now in the nasal pharynx, the things that you need to know was this opening right here, and here to the auditory tube. That's what that is. Okay, opening to the auditory tube. This is the pharyngeal tonsil here and here. Pharyngeal tonsil. We looked at that the other day. And then you have the hard palate, soft palate, and the thing hanging down the back of your throat is that uvula. Okay, you know, when you open your mouth and you look at the uvula. Okay. Oral pharynx. There's a picture in your book, but it's in digestion with the mouth wide open and you're looking back in it. And you can see these structures really good on that picture. So, and I'll show you that picture when we do digestion. So you want to look at that picture probably sooner than later. And so in the back of the throat, mouth, back of the oral cavity, you're going to have this tonsil right here, and that's the, which tonsil?
Palatine.
Palatine tonsil. Now notice there's these 2 little folds, and it kind of sits between them. And if you open your mouth, you can see those, okay? And so remember, this is the pharynx, okay? And so one of the folds is and this is the palatine tonsil, and this is the tongue. And so start with palato for both of these, is the first word. The one closest to the tongue would be the palatine glossal fold. Palatoglossal fold, right there, see it? Palatoglossal fold. The one close to the pharynx would be what then?
Palatopharyngeal.
Palatopharyngeal fold. Okay.
It says arch in the left.
Yeah, arch. You're right. They're arches. Sorry. So right here is that palatine tonsil. Okay. And so what would this be right here then?
Palatoglossal.
Palatoglossal arch. This one here would be the
Palatopharyngeal arch.
Palatopharyngeal arch. You see those arches now? You okay with those?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Lingual tonsil, remember that's at the base of the tongue here. That area right there. Okay. Laryngopharynx, that's this area here. Okay. And next you'll see the larynx, and that's what this all is here, is your voice box and larynx. So this is a larynx model here. Here's another one here. The tongue actually comes off of this one. Okay. And so that's this portion right here is your larynx. Okay. And this is a larynx model here. I think first as we're looking at the cartilages, I'm kind of looking at this upside down, so keep me honest. Let me show them to you here. All the soft tissue is off, okay? And so this is your thyroid cartilage. You can feel that yourself right here, your Adam's apple. That's what that is. You slide, you grab it on both sides and move it, okay? Thyroid cartilage, notice it's big in the front and it's absent in the back, in the posterior side, okay? Right below it, you actually can feel there's a little notch, and then you get to the cricoid cartilage right here. Small in the front, big in the back. So this is cricoid cartilage also, okay? Then this is your epiglottis right here. That's not your tongue. What's this here?
Hyoid bone.
Hyoid bone, exactly. And then you can see these little triangles here. And somehow this one got pulled off. Here we go. There we go. So these actually open up your vocal cords here. And so the big triangle here is your arytenoid cartilage. Okay? And see the little triangle on the tip of it here? That's your corniculate cartilage. So arytenoid, the little triangle on top, corniculate. Now there's soft tissue that runs between that corniculate and the epiglottis. It's just not seen here. And in that soft tissue about this area here is going to be where your cuneiform cartilage is. And I'll show you on this other model where it's at. So, what cartilage?
Thyroid.
Thyroid. See how it's absent back here, but that's part of it here. Cricoid, bigger in the back. That number 4 area is arytenoid. The very tip of that is corniculate cartilage. Now, see this folded tissue going from the corniculate cartilage up to, this is the epiglottis right here. This thing that looks like a tongue, but it's not the tongue. This little fold right there, that little bump right there, is your cuneiform cartilage is in there. Right in there. Okay, that's where your cuneiform is. And again, this is the epiglottis. Now, there's a hole between your vocal cords in there that air passes through, and the Q-tip is going through it right there. That's like your pupil. Remember, your pupil wasn't something you could touch, it was a hole through the iris. This is your glottis. Okay, your glottis. Actually, that's the view you see when you're trying to intubate somebody. Okay, and that's what you actually, with a laryngoscope, have to see those vocal folds. So if you pop this open, this fold right here is the vestibular fold or false vocal cords. This one right here is the true. False, true. Vestibular fold, true vocal cords. I like to say you got to dig a little deeper to get to the truth. Okay? So it's the one that's further away or you know, more distal from your epiglottis. Okay? When you look at this, you can see this is epiglottis right here. This thing here. Here's your thyroid cartilage, cricoid. You can see this stuff on the half head, you guys. Okay. What's this? Epiglottis. What's this? Thyroid. This back here?
Cricoid.
Cricoid. And what's this fold right here? False. This one right here? True. So you can see these same things on this one. Okay. So. Extending down below that cricoid cartilage, this is the trachea. And those are all the tracheal rings. Notice that they're absent on the posterior surface because that's where your esophagus sits. Right there. Okay. So, same thing here. These are the first few rings of the trachea. Okay. You have all the same structures here. What's this? thyroid gland. Good. Yeah, this is, sorry, I sort of threw one in there on you. This here is your trachea. Where it divides right here is your carina. Okay. It now divides. Did I get everything on that? Yeah. Okay. Tell me if I skip something. Okay. So it divides, and it's going to go in the right and left lungs. As soon as it divides, this now is the primary bronchus. This would be the right primary bronchus. This would be the left. The other name you'll hear it called is mainstem bronchuses. The primary bronchuses now divide into secondary bronchuses. Okay. And there's a secondary bronchus that goes to each lobe. On the right side, you have 3 lobes, a superior, middle, inferior. On the left side, you just have 2 lobes, a superior, inferior. And so this would be a secondary bronchus, actually to the superior lobe on the right. This would be the secondary bronchus to the middle lobe, and this would be the secondary bronchus to the inferior lobe. Here is secondary bronchus to the superior lobe. This would be the secondary bronchus to the inferior lobe on the left. Now after that, they're called tertiaries. And so these all out here are tertiaries. This is here. These are here. And each division is a tertiary. You'll have like 18 to 20 divisions, like on the branches on a tree. So these even divide out more. A bronchus is going to have cartilage on it. Okay? And all the way out. And that determines what a bronchus is. We okay with that? Mm-hmm. So this is a good model for showing you that. Let's see where we at here. Terminal bronchioles you don't see on these, but I'm going to show you over here. So you just flip that over, and what we're after now is this model here. This would be a microscopic view of a portion way out in the lungs. Okay, and so this is a terminal bronchus coming in here. It still has cartilage, the blue on it. Okay, so that's your terminal bronchus. This would be the outer covering of the lung, and that's pleura. It's on the lung itself, so it's visceral pleura. Okay. And so, what is this blood vessel right here?
Pulmonary vein.
Pulmonary what?
Vein.
Pulmonary vein. What's this one here?
Pulmonary artery.
Pulmonary artery. Okay. So, when you lose the cartilage out here to these things here, these are now bronchioles. Okay. Bronchioles. And as soon as you get to a point where there's actually some air going past it, where you can have some air exchange, this would be a bronchiole right here. This would be a respiratory bronchiole right here. Now, you're going to go out and you're going to divide into little air sacs, okay? Individually, they're called alveolus. Multiple ones are alveoli. So each of these little like grape sacs are an alveolus. Multiple are alveoli. Here you can see the insides of them. So if I point there and ask you what that is, you'll say that's an alveolus, or multiple ones would be alveoli. The alveoli connect with each other through alveolar ducts, and that's what this inner black thing is here. That would be an alveolar duct. Now, a whole group of them together form an alveolar sac. So here's an alveolar sac, here's another one here. Okay. And so those alveoli are going to be covered by capillaries. That's what this red mesh represents, is the capillaries that are on it. And then the black stuff here then is elastic tissue on top of that. That's what that represents. Did I get all those there?
Which was the elastic tissue?
I'm not going to ask you that. Okay. It's not on your list. I was just throwing it at you. So the rest of that, the gross surface anatomy of the lungs, you can see on these models on the side here. Okay.